is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are St. Louis.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Gorgeous Sunday afternoon here at Busch Stadium. And then there was one. Game number 162. The Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals. And welcome to Cardinals baseball. Welcome to the broadcast booth here at Busch Stadium. That's Rick Horton. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Pretty simple. The Cardinals, if they win the Central Division. In sports, there's always hope. There's always promise. There's always excitement. And that's what we have here today.
And we can also thank the Colorado Rockies. We're pretty happy with what they've done the last 2 days. But it is the last moment of a long marathon season. Hopefully not a game 163. The Cardinals one game ahead. Again, helping Colorado. But they prefer today, Dan, winning against the Chicago Cubs on Fan Appreciation Day at the ballpark.
Cardinals will try to finish this season 20 games above the 500 mark at 91-71. If they do that, they'll need a very good Jack Flaherty.
Well, he's been very good at least every game we've seen him in the second half. ERA fourth in the National League, 225 punch-outs for Jack.
The lefty Derek Holland will go for the Chicago Cubs. It's Flaherty for St. Louis. It's a packed house. Season on the line for the Central Division title when we come back. Game number 162 this afternoon. The magic number sits at 1. A reason the Cardinals are in this spot. The play of Tommy Edman and Rick Horton. He has been terrific.
Plenty of good rookies in the National League, but don't forget about this guy. His next hit will be his 100th in his rookie season. He's stealing bases, he's playing good defense, and he is charging, and I mean charging, the Cardinals offense.
364. In the month of September, he's also been terrific here at Busch Stadium. Will we see the champagne popping and a celebration? Let's go, Cubs and Cardinals coming up. Game number 162, beautiful St. Louis, Chicago. The Cubs trying to play spoiler against the Cardinals. Jim Hayes, Erica Weston down on the field. Rick Horton here in the booth. I'm Dan McLaughlin. It is 91 degrees on September 29th of 2019. It feels like a summer day.
Well, it's been a great summer, and you hope that it ends very well here today as the Cardinals take the field. It really is a terrific day. We're going to have a big crowd again, Fan Appreciation Day. And there will be a lot of eyes on this game and the game going on in Colorado here this afternoon.
Don't mean to be the reporter of bad news here, but Milwaukee has already jumped out to a 2-0 lead against Colorado, and that's in the top of the first.
It's early, and it's Colorado.
You got it. Thank you to the Rockies. I became a huge Rockies fan last night. I don't know if you did, but I did. And Trevor Story, nice work. Walk-off homer to give the Rockies that victory, and the fate of the Cardinals in terms of the division championship, it's in their hands. They win this game, they win the Central.
Well, Mike Schultz said it really after the last two games that it softened the blow a little bit that the Rockies did win those two games. And I think if you're Mike Schultz today, you don't want to rely on that. You don't want to even think about what's going on the scoreboard. Just ride Jack Flaherty, our Hyundai pitch arsenal. Everything he throws has been A+, especially in the second half of the year.
Remarkable August, third best August in Cardinals history. He gave up 3 earned in 38 innings. And then Jack Flaherty in September, a .97 ERA. He's given up 4 earned in 37. Second season as the Cardinals manager, first full season for Mike Schultz. And he has his club on the cusp of a NL Central title. Meanwhile, on the other side, Joe Maddon will not return as the Cubs manager in 2020. We found that out earlier today. That is official. And so a team that back on August 8th had a 3.5 game lead in the Central. They were eliminated on Wednesday. From that point forward, August 8th to Wednesday, they were 19-24. The Cardinals went 32-14. Best record in baseball. Joe Madden, bye-bye in Chicago. Tough business.
It sure is, and he has been a winner. It's the first time since 2014 they've not been in the playoffs.
The Buick lineup: Kemp, Zobrist, Happ, Schwarber, Contreras, Caratini, Horner, Russell, and Derek Holland getting the nod today in this finale for Chicago. So here we go. Jack Flaherty with the division championship on the line.
You've got an ace game with Flaherty going. You've got a bullpen game on the Cubs side. But as we found out in this series, and baseball tells you all the time, the numbers can kind of go out the window once we see first pitch of a ball game.
And that first pitch is strike to Tony Kemp, hitting .216. 8 home runs. He has driven in 29. Flaherty was terrific in his last start against Arizona. And a fly ball lifted out to Harrison Bader. Shading from the sun, one away. Cardinals defensively, a .989 fielding percentage, 66 errors, both best in the National League. Ozuna, Bader, Fowler in the outfield. Carpenter, DeYoung, Edman, Goldschmidt along the infield. Molina behind the plate. Around the horn, presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
The defense has been historically good with those 66 errors. That's top 5 all time in terms of fewest errors. Dan, I would have to say the Cardinals should have consideration for 4 Gold Gloves. You can't be one of the best defensive team ever and not have several Gold Gloves.
Currently, right now, it's the highest fielding percentage in franchise history for the Cardinals. Mike Schilt took over. He said 2 things we have to improve upon right away. Fielding, well, they've done that. And base running, and they've done that. They have 115 stolen bases, by the way. And that's #1 in the National League. Little fly ball out to shallow left center. Racing in Bader to make the catch. 2 away.
And nice of him to make a nice running catch while we're talking about Gold Gloves. He would be one of those guys, and Mike Schilt talking about him yesterday, saying he deserves strong consideration for the Gold Glove center fielder. Of course, Lorenzo Cain pretty good as well in Milwaukee, but I would say Colton Wong, Paul Goldschmidt, Yadier Molina, and maybe some votes, should be some votes for Paul DeYoung. Errors low, number of double plays he's been a part of.
And again, the Cardinals missing Colton Wong. That has been an issue for the Cardinals here in this final week. Here's Ian Happ, who had his 5th multi-home run game last night, and he is red hot in this Cubs lineup. So 2 outs and nobody on. A couple of fly balls to Bader. Ian Happ batting .268. Fouled back, and it's 0-2. This is the 6th start for Jack Flaherty against Chicago this year. He's pitched in every Cardinals-Cubs series here in 2019. He's 1-1 in those 5 previous starts. The 0-2 pitch. He struck him out in a 1-2-3 first inning for Flaherty. Big crowd. They want to see a celebration. Cardinals coming up in the home half of the first. The Buick lineup: Fowler, Edman, and Goldschmidt. Ozuna, Molina, Carpenter, DeYoung, Bader, and Flaherty. Derek Holland, this will be start number 8, came over from San Francisco.
Hasn't had many good starts this year. It is just start number 8. He really has spent most of his time in the bullpen, and he's been basically a 2-pitch pitcher out of the bullpen. Fastball, slider, uses the curveball more against right-handed batters, but I would not expect him to be out there any more than the first time through the lineup, probably less.
To your point, Ricky, he hasn't pitched as a starter since May 9th with San Francisco. 43 relief appearances since that time, and has not thrown more than 3 innings in a game since April. So to further your point, probably doesn't go very deep in this game.
He's also had command issues this year. 2-0 on Fowler. A lot of walks for Derek Holland, almost 4.5 per 9 innings.
The 2-0 pitch, now 3-0. Toyota key to the game.
Well, it's simple, Dan. Hit, and then hit some more. When the Cardinals win, they hit with runners in scoring position. And Jack Flaherty can be great, but if you don't get him any runs, then it's just a bullpen game at the end.
4 straight, and the leadoff man is aboard.
I'd like to amend that key to the game. Hit, walk, hit.
And you may get a lot of that.
I'm okay with either one.
There is a buzz and an excitement here at the ballpark. We hope you feel it wherever you may be watching Cardinals baseball this afternoon. Here's Tommy Edman, who has reached base in 17 straight. Since his debut, the Cardinals are 19 games above the 500 mark. They've gone 59-40 since he made his debut. Check on Fowler, who has 8 stolen bases this year. Edman, a .366 batter here at Busch Stadium, 3rd highest home average by a rookie in Cardinals history, and that is a ball. 5 straight.
I don't think you'd get an argument that Jack Flaherty has been the most valuable player on this Cardinal team. But if you're going to say the most valuable offensive player, maybe the guy at the plate.
Absolutely. 6 straight. And time called by Caratini, or rather Contreras, as Caratini comes in to visit as well from first base. Nico Hoerner is in center field today. Schwarber in left, Kemp in right. Around the Horn is presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Happ, Russell, Zobrist, Caratini on the infield, Contreras behind the plate. Nico Hoerner, first time playing in the outfield in the major leagues. That's on the heels of his first appearance in a major league game at second base. He did have, Nico Hoerner, 11 games in center field at Double-A for the Tennessee Smokies. And it ties into Tommy Edman because those two were college teammates at Stanford.
And he's gotten a chance here at the big league level to play shortstop because of Baez's injury, but clearly Baez is going to be the guy going forward. So I think they're just trying to find out how much of a utility guy can Hoerner be. Not just utility, but a starter utility guy that can just move around.
That's tapped foul, 3-2. 1 year they were teammates at Stanford back in 2016. Smiling that day. Going at it here today. Fowler not running on the 3-2. It's taken inside at back-to-back walks by Derek Holland to start this game. And in steps Paul Goldschmidt.
And Dan, when I say hit, I'm mostly thinking about the middle of the order for the Cardinals that's been a bit cold. Beginning with Paul Goldschmidt, Marcell Ozuna. You add Paul DeJong to that list of guys that are just not swinging the bat well the last 2 weeks. Batting averages under 100 or under 200, excuse me.
Fowler 111, Goldschmidt 192, Ozuna 157, DeJong 143. Those are the averages the last 2 weeks for those 4. We'll see if it changes today. 1 ball, then no strikes with runners at first and second. Outfield straight away and deep.
He was not bunting there, was he?
No, sir.
I still love when the power hitter has the big swing, the oohs and the ahs and the wow almost that you feel at the ballpark.
Up the middle, base hit. Here comes Fowler. No throw, he'll score. And Hoerner finally gets the ball in as he took his time to get it back into the infield. And it's 1-0 Cardinals. Goldschmidt drives in his 96th of the year.
There's the start you're hoping for. Get on the board quickly. And it's Goldie with his 96th RBI. Right back up the middle. And no doubt that Edman was going to go first or third. And as you mentioned, Hoerner's just got to get it in. Of course, he doesn't have the experience in the outfield, but for young outfielders, don't hold the baseball. Know where you're going to throw it and throw it.
Get it in. Here's Marcell Ozuna. Dexter Fowler is now 2 runs shy of 800 in his career. Ozuna, 475 slugging percentage. That is tops on the club. And you know he would love to be a 30 home run man. He's 1 shy. Ground ball, double play ball. That'll score a run. 6-4-3 on the double play. Two to nothing, St. Louis. What do you think about this from last night?
Well, a little extracurricular here is Yachty took exception to that. You know, I'm not so sure, and I've not been able to confirm this, but the night before there was an issue with Rowan Wick throwing at Matt Carpenter, and I thought there was a lot of yelling that was going on. I know there was a lot of yelling. I know what Rick Wick was saying to Carpenter, and I'm thinking the Cardinals may have taken exception to that. And Yachty, you know, Yachty's got a memory, and my guess is those two things are tied. And I would say a secondary reason, knowing Yachty, is maybe he just felt like it was time to amp up a little bit of emotion on his club.
You know, Ricky, I'm surprised we don't see it more. I mean, the teams inside your division, you're going to face them 18 times.
That's right.
So there's some long memories. 3-0. Yachty with hits in 7 of the last 8 games, and he has driven in 8 in the last 8 games. The 3-0. 3 walks in the inning.
Joe Madden managing his last game with the Chicago Cubs, 5 years, does not have much of a bench today. Several players banged up, several players unavailable, and so he's going to have a hard time double switching here in a game where he's playing a bullpen game. So maybe just a lot of straight out switches, and he's only got so many pinch hitters available. So it'll be interesting how he manages his last game.
There's Carpenter hitting .320 against Chicago in 2019. He struck out 4 times though last night. 4th time he has done that here this season. Three walks in the inning, a single by Goldschmidt. Ozuna bounced into a double play. It adds up to a 2-0 lead. Little bouncer hit to the right side. Caratini has to get back up, but they'll get the force play at second, and that's Molina. Nicely done by Ben Zobrist, who might be playing in his final game of his big league career. 2-0 after 1. Jack Flaherty back to work in the top of the second, and we say good afternoon to Jim Hayes.
Hey, Danny. Mike Schultz surprised absolutely no one last night when he announced that Jack Flaherty would be getting the start today. Schultz told me it wasn't a very difficult decision. Schultz said, I'm looking at the guy pitching better than anyone in baseball, pitching for us in a game in which we could clinch. Pretty easy call. Adam Wainwright told me Jack's been amazing. He's been lights out in every outing. We are very confident about today, Danny. Not much explanation needed when you give the ball to Jack Flaherty.
No, not at all. And we had a shot there earlier in our broadcast, and this is Kyle Schwarber of Colton Wong. What is his health status right now, Jimmy, going into this final game?
Well, he's dealing with that left hamstring strain. Colton told me he is available today if needed. He said it's game 162. Everything is on the table. Colton worked out with trainers today, hitting the cage. He said the hammy was at 70 to 80%, but he told me it's better today. Danny, Colton can't run full tilt right now, but there are some things he can do if the Cards need him to do them.
All right, Jimmy, thank you. And our thanks to Jim Hayes, Scott Mormon, Erica Weston for their work all season long. Al Roboski, Ricky Ankiel, Brad Thompson, Jim Edmonds. And a strikeout of Schwarber, number 2 today for Jack Flaherty. Our pre and post game show crew and producers Alan Stout, Tim Trokey do a wonderful job.
They sure do.
Put in a lot of hours, a lot of hard work.
A lot of baseball to watch, a lot of video to kind of sift through to try to present what's happening on a daily basis. And, you know, it's a great game, Dan, that has a lot of nuances to it. And you have to love the game. You have to be able to see some of those things and bring them out. And certainly our producers do that. And then it's just a matter of finding the words to explain it. And it's, again, a terrific game. It's a simple game in one way, score more runs than the other team.
On the ground, deep in the hole, and off the glove of Paul DeYoung. So Wilson Contreras on his way to second, hustling all the way, and out at second base! Out at second base!
I think he's out because he came off the bag. He's not leaving yet. He wants Joe Madden to at least look at it. I thought he beat the throw, but I do think he may have come off the bag, and that's why the call was made. Here's the slide. I think the hand gets there first, but I think he might be out there. Maybe not. There he is. He's off the bag.
And the Cubs will not challenge. And with that, 2 outs, and here's the switch hitting Victor Caratini.
So the key for young players, keep the glove on the runner.
Especially now more than ever. Oh, my
goodness. It was always true, but even more so now. You could do the swipe tag, the phantom tag. There's no swipe and phantom anymore. There's video. So you have to be on him somehow and stay on it, because if they come off the bag, you might steal one. I think that's what happened there.
Here's the 0-1 pitch to Caratini. By the way, I did not mention, because I can hear him all the way from his TV set to our headset. I mean, what? Hey, Al, Rick, Brad, Jim, the other, where am I?
I'm in the big leagues.
I'm in the big leagues, man. And Tim McCarver.
That's right.
Great work. I mean, come on. The 2-1 pitch to Caratini. Grounded to Goldschmidt, and he'll take it himself. So the base hit by Contreras turns out to be an out. Going to second. DeYoung with that throw, and also his 30th home run last night. He's coming up when we come back. Last night, if you missed it, Paul DeYoung with the Cardinals trailing with home run number 30. So it's DeYoung, Bader, Flaherty. And the first pitch is strike. Kubota Power Stats, most home runs. Major League shortstops this year. Exclusive group, Paul DeYoung with 30.
That's where we are in the game, where shortstops are hitting 30-plus home runs, 5 of them. It's a different position than it used to be. You expect power, you draft power, you want power, you develop a shortstop that may not be the kind of just the quick, non-power type agile athlete. You know, the Ozzie Smith, I guess you would say, is the perfect example. They're looking for power now.
Who wants it? Caratini. Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. By Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the St. Louis area. Find yours at your Mid-America Chevy dealer. Paul DeYoung, the first Cardinal shortstop with 30 and maybe more home runs before it's all said and done in a single year.
You also mentioned that Marcell Ozuna's at 29. Only one time have the Cardinals had 3 players with 30 home runs, and that was the MV3 in 2004.
The Cardinals also, if you take it even further, Ricky, and this is Harrison Bader, who had his 5th home run that he hit last night in the month of September, also walked and was hit by a pitch. Cardinals have over 200 home runs, over 100 stolen bases. And it's only the 3rd time in club history they've done that. They did it back in 1998, the summer of Big Mac, and in 2004 with the MV3 of Pujols, Edmonds, and Scott Rowland.
I like that combination of power and speed.
By the way, Ben Zobrist is at second again today. And for those of you that saw the games at Wrigley Field, he would get in a position almost directly behind the pitcher and kind of jump and hop. There it is. He's hopping around. It was more demonstrative, I thought, at Wrigley.
I would agree.
To the point that the Cardinals even said something a couple of different times to the umpiring crew. It is against the rules to just all of a sudden go out there and start waving your arms and jump around. You can't do that. And the umpires said, no, this is part of his routine of getting ready for the pitch, and they did not say stop. And a high fly ball to Schwarber, battling the sun, and makes the catch.
Well, I would counter that answer with, a pitcher could say, well, it's part of my routine to balk before I pitch.
Exactly.
I mean, it is either a rule or it's not. And, I've loved watching Zobrist play, and he's had a terrific career. And, I've admired him throughout his career for his ability to go from one position to another. He's a World Series MVP when the Cubs went to the World Series. But he was a good player before that with the Rays, and just this super utility guy and the all-star teams that he's made. He's a terrific player, but I still believe that the rule's a rule.
This may be it for Zobrist. Maybe Curtis Granderson, Melky Cabrera, Brian McCann, Gerard Dyson, Alex Gordon. There's some pitchers, too, that have had long and distinguished careers. This will be it. Felix Hernandez, CC Sabathia.
Did you see? I don't know if you saw the video on Felix Hernandez.
Incredible.
Getting his last out. I mean, I'm so touched by that. All the K's up in the stands, and he was just he couldn't stop crying when he left the mound, and the messages and the hugs that he had with his infielders. I mean, this, it's you come face to face on the last day of a season, Dan, with the fact that they're human beings again that may be doing what they love to do for the very last time, including big league managers.
Speaking of tears, Pete Alonso had that last night as he hit his 53rd home run to set the all-time rookie record in baseball, breaking Aaron Judge's mark. But he circled the bases, and then when he went out to take his position, he couldn't stop his emotions. Started crying on the field. 63 players were chosen before him, Pete Alonso, in the 2016 draft. And there was even, and we saw the Mets a lot in spring training, there was uncertainty is if or not he would, crack the Mets opening day lineup, and he made the team and hits 53 home runs.
So we know Tom Hanks told us there's no crying in baseball, but I'm not sure that's true.
I would agree. Base hit for Flaherty out to left.
Jack Flaherty's a good athlete. Swings the bat well. He bunts well. There's a nice swing on a pitch up in the zone. Very smooth. Well-timed swing.
Here's Dexter Fowler. Walked and scored back in the first inning. I mentioned he's now 2 runs shy of 800 runs scored in his career. He's also 1 RBI shy of 500.
And one more thought, Dan, as we were thinking about last, Clint Hurdle was told today that he would no longer be the Pirates manager. And longtime friend of Clint's, I feel for him, but I also think about the coaches too. Ray Searage, maybe the last time we see him, when a manager goes, and that's the case here in Chicago, the coaches are unsettled. They're not sure what their future is.
There's always trends and follow the leader, if you will, in baseball, and you wonder what the trend will be and what type of manager teams are looking for. A little check swing and a foul ball by Dexter Fowler, who celebrated with Joe Maddon at Cubs World Championship. I mean, Joe Maddon in 5 seasons, 471 and 338. That is his record starting back in 2015. 582, the regular season winning percentage, second all time in Chicago Cubs history, and he's on the way out. Fowler, a drive, left center, yes! 2-run homer, Dexter! New career high, 19 homers. Dexter Fowler, and it's 4-0.
Danny Dexter tends to do things with style, and that is a pretty stylish way to break an 0 for 15.
Need to get him going, as we've talked about, and here it is, his career high.
And he's going, or at least he's going right there, and he knew it. The clap of the hands, he does it against his former team. And again, we talked about the tears that some players have had, but just emotions in general are high when you get to this point in the season, because it's the end of some things, and it might be the beginning of something else.
Get on a roll before postseason play. Maybe you find something in that final game, too. Happens all the time. Tommy Edman walked and scored back in the first, and the Cardinals have jumped out to a 4-0 lead. They're in the top of the third at Coors Field, and Milwaukee with a 2-0 lead over the Rockies. In the air to right field, Tony Kemp with the catch. RBIs 500 and 501 in the career of Dexter Fowler on one swing of the bat. Dexter Fowler with the 2-run homer. It's 4-0 St. Louis. Postseason about to begin. Fox Sports Midwest coverage continues after every game. Missouri Lottery Cardinals live. So after the game, switch channels to Fox Sports Midwest after every postseason game. Interviews, highlights, analysis. And that'll be the postseason run for St. Louis. T-Mobile connection to the game. And we found this to be incredibly interesting from 2010 to what we've seen this year.
I think it shows exactly what's happened to the game in the last 9 years during this decade. Hits are down. Strikeouts are way up, 8,000 more. And the home runs are way up. I mean, big time. So it's a game basically of strikeouts and home runs. And some folks like it and some don't.
Horner. Then Russell, and the pitcher spot, Holland. I think something that is amazing concerning the St. Louis Cardinals and this run of good baseball that they've had since opening day of 2011. And we're in 2019, so this is a long stretch. You could be in a rebuild, you could be in a teardown, you could be in a world of hurt even with the players you bring in. The Cardinals have had 3 days of games in which they were technically out of the playoff chase, meaning they had been eliminated. There's been a total of 3 days since 2011.
Essentially an entire decade.
It's incredible. Three and one to count. First 3-ball count for Jack Flaherty. Had an 8-pitch first inning, a 9-pitch second inning. The Rockies hadn't taken 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals Cardinals might have already clinched the Central, but last 2 wins by Colorado, well, maybe it's made up for it. Fly ball, shallow right center. Edman, catch! Over the shoulder catch by Tommy Edman. It's remarkable.
That's a big-time play by Tommy Edman against his former teammate at Stanford. And he took the perfect route, had the great hands. Outstanding play by the Cardinal rookie. Defense, defense, defense.
What a play. Here's Addison Russell. Big night for him in game 2 of this series.
You know what's so great about that play, Dan, is he read that off the bat, and it starts with the sound. He could tell that the ball was not hit on the barrel of the bat. He could tell that it was going to kind of flare into the outfield, wouldn't get to Harrison Bader, and he's the first one to know that. Bader doesn't know it in center, so you've got to get a good jump. He could tell that right away, this is going to be me. Bader can't get there. It better be me. And he took the perfect route.
I didn't think he had any chance to get to that ball. If anybody was going to get it, it would be Bader. It's Colton Wong-esque. I'm not sure it was Jose Martinez-esque, as we saw Jose in that shot.
It was Jose Martinez-ish.
Yeah. Soft liner to short, 2 away. Stay up to date with the postseason. MLB at Bat. Stats, highlights, news, and more. MLB at Bat. Here's the pitcher, Derek Holland, who is 1 for 13 this year.
So 2 of my favorite things about this team, and hopefully watching a lot more and a lot into October, if they can just kind of pull it all together, especially offensively. The 2 things I've loved the most is the improvement defensively and the improvement on the base paths. Errors frustrate you as a fan, and so do outs on the bases. They just drive you crazy. The Cubs lead the National League in outs on the bases, and we know how that feels.
Here's the 0-2. He struck him out, his 3rd of the afternoon, and Flaherty is locked in game number 162. Goldschmidt, Ozuna, Molina coming up. Attention 2nd through 6th grade educators. Never too early to learn how to be smart with money, and that's why the Cardinals and Scott Credit Union teamed up to create Budgeting Buddies, a free financial literacy program that includes a 7-part curriculum with activities. Learn more at cardinals.com/budgetingbuddies. Take a look at our Kia Give It Everything. Mike Schilt as the Cardinals manager. His record since he took over, 4th best. The runs per game, 6th, and the opposing runs, the opposition, 2nd. Our Kia Give It Everything. Mike is the first to deflect any attention that comes his way in credit, always to the players, except when things go bad. He says, you can put that on me. The Cardinals win today, you might be looking at the manager of the year in the National League. And he will have earned it. All the way to game number 162.
He has been remarkably consistent and even keel throughout all the ups and downs of a season.
Even the most easygoing of managers or coaches in any sport flip their lid.
Of course, have a bad day, get grouchy. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him. I've seen him a little tense. I thought he was a little more tense in the Cubs series than I'd seen him.
Yeah,
but not overwhelmingly so, and certainly never in a bad mood with the people that he works with and around him, and with the media, his coaches, etc. He's got just a terrific ability to move ahead, move on, move past some issues. A reliever has a bad day, yeah, he had a bad day. He admits it, says it, and then says, but I still trust him.
It's yanked foul. Players, as you can speak to this better than I, but they appreciate the fact that he's got their back.
He's got their back, but he's also honest with them, which you also appreciate.
Yep.
So if somebody's just kind of blah, blah, blahing to you, too, that doesn't really work. Doesn't help you. And, you know, we always want players to be called out publicly. I mean, I think not we, but, I mean, I don't want that, but I understand why fans want that. They want to be sure that he's doing his job, but trust me, he is. He's saying what needs to be said. He's just not doing it in a way that it publicly embarrasses his players.
Here's a 1-2. I see with Mike Schilt, having been around him a little bit now, and I don't know Whitey as well clearly as you. I know Tony very well from covering him in his time here. A lot of Whitey and a lot of Tony.
Yeah, I would agree.
Kind of a mix.
I would agree. The preparation, well, they're all three of them prepared. I mean, in different ways, but great preparation with all of them.
Inside, 3-2.
I like the way Mike Schilt uses his coaches, and that makes me think of Whitey. Whitey was terrific at that.
That's where I was going to go with it. Yep. Sitting on 33 home runs. And he bounces that fair and off the glove of Ian Happ. And Goldschmidt is second hit. So nobody out. The leadoff man is aboard for St. Louis, and now Marcell Ozuna. No one throwing in the Cubs bullpen yet. We mentioned earlier it's probably a short day for Derek Holland one way or another.
I would have thought 3 innings max, so we'll see if that is the case. I mean, pitch count matters too, but he just hasn't been doing it much lately. And of course, he's probably trying to. And you think about not so much the Cardinals side, but the Cubs side and several teams in baseball. They're trying to leave the season on a good note, showing people what they maybe can do going into free agency.
Cole Hamels last night.
Right. Perfect example.
I am so intrigued what the Cubs may do at their managerial spot, and I'm probably even more so intrigued on where Joe Maddon lands. He will manage next year. He has made no indication that this is it. And you got to think that if there's a franchise that's close, he might be the guy.
Like starting after Carpenter?
I would think that he would have his pick of some places.
Yes. Great jump at first. Goldschmidt running, and he's got his third stolen base of the year. Stolen base number 116 for the Cardinals, and that takes them to a success rate of 80% this year. 19 different players for the Cardinals have stolen a base.
And no chance he stole that one off of Holland. Really wasn't paying much attention to him.
The 3 steals for Goldschmidt all have been from August 11th and beyond. Taken high.
We talked about the defensive changes from last year to this year, but we've also had it on the base running side. Fewest stolen bases, 63 in 2018. Outs on the bases, the 5th most this year. 117 stolen bases and the 4th fewest outs on the bases.
Ozuna hits it out to left. Schwarber over, won't get there. Goldschmidt read it beautifully. He'll score. And Marcell Ozuna drives in his 89th to make it 5-0 St. Louis.
Hit, and hit some more. Bit of a hanger, middle in. And Goldie's read, he could tell it was going to be down. Schwarber can't come up with it. A long single for Ozuna. But RBI number 89.
Here's Yadier Molina, who walked back in the first inning. Dwayne Underwood Jr., right-hander, starting to throw in the Cub bullpen.
He's paying attention now.
And the 1-0 pitch taken high. Well, the Cardinals, we know they are assured of going to postseason play. If they win, they'll be in Atlanta on Thursday. A lose with a potential tiebreaker against Milwaukee at Busch Stadium tomorrow. 5-0 our score. 2-1 the count on Yadier Molina. The Brewers at last check 2-0, top of the fourth. They have the lead over the Rockies. All games starting at 2:15 St. Louis time. To add to the drama of this final day of the regular season.
I think there's going to be a year, Dan, in the next 5 years, and I root for it every year, where you'll have 10 games going on day 162 that have playoff importance. I think that would be just a blast. Just hasn't happening now, but it could happen.
And that's taken high. 4 walks for Derek Holland. And now a quick word from Great Southern Bank.
Emptied your digital wallet? We understand. Great Southern Bank. We're fans too.
2 hits and a walk. And we had a shot of Joe Madden at one point. It looked like he said, let him face Carpenter and that'll be it. And it looks like that may be the case, or not facing Carpenter at all.
There's your answer.
Dwayne Underwood Jr. coming on for Chicago to face Matt Carpenter with 2 runners on. Cardinals up by 5.
Nobody out here in the 3rd inning, and Underwood will take over for Holland. Carpenter coming up. He grounded into a fielder's choice his first time up. The Chevy called to the pen. Dwayne Underwood Jr. for the Chicago Cubs.
We saw him pitch in Chicago. I liked him. I thought he had a good arm. And they have several arms in their bullpen. 10 right-handers and 3 left-handers, and that's September baseball for you. So they have plenty of arms. That's not the problem. Again, not a lot of bench players for Chicago today.
So here is Carpenter. 14 home runs, driven in 43, the .226 average at the start of play. Derek Holland was on the bump today. The last time he had a start against St. Louis with postseason or playoff or World Series implications was Game 4 of the 2011 World Series in Texas. He went 8 1/3 and gave up 2 hits. He was awesome that night. And Carpenter hits a high fly ball. Out to right. Yes!
3-run homer. Matt Carpenter. Pour it on in game number 162.
kinds of celebrations going on here at the ballpark. The buzz, Danny, the buzz is so loud, and it really has been since pitch number 1.
And Young will take the bag at first. Nissan drive of the game, Matt Carpenter. We believe in Carpenter, say the bench mafia, and the Nissan drive of the game. Home run number 15.
Boy, that's as well timed up a swing as we've seen from him in a while, where he can pull it and pull it with authority. And good to see Matt swinging the bat better in the month of September. And on a day that started with the fans singing the national anthem, which is a great tradition here at Busch Stadium on day 162. We've had fan involvement really since pitch 1 here.
A buzz and excitement, anticipation. Oh, 0-1 the count here on Harrison Bader. Fly to left his first time up. 8-0 our score, and that's fouled back. It's another sellout here today. And it'll be the 22nd sellout of this 2019 season. Ballpark Village packed, ready to celebrate. But still a long ways to go. Oh-2 pitch to Bader. Fouled back.
The Cubs team has done a great job of winning the first 2 games of this series with all the injuries they've dealt with. But just thinking about Joe Maddon and the lineup he could have had today. I mean, there's no Anthony Rizzo. There's no Jason Hayward. No Nick Castellanos. No Chris Bryant. No Javier Baez. I mean, that's his offense.
No question.
Almost his total offense. And you had Contreras and Schwarber, and that's his team.
That's why it might be unfair to say that this one goes on Joe Maddon. But when you have the second highest payroll at the start of the regular season and you don't get into postseason play, fingers get pointed. Maybe they say, well, things aren't meshing now with Joe Maddon. We need a new voice. And all those things you're going to hear.
Yeah, expectations are a lot higher, clearly. And you can't control injuries, that's for sure. I mean, you can work to control them, but they happen. And say some of the pitching hasn't panned out. Now, is that because of the staff's work, or is it did they pick the wrong guys? That's the $1 million question always.
No question. It's got to be deflating, I'm sure, for Milwaukee to look up and see a score of 8-0 St. Louis.
I would say so.
Baseball's such a funny game. They probably are at the highest of highs going into that 9th inning last night against Colorado with Josh Hader on the mound.
Into the 9th inning with 2 outs.
Yes. Bader hits it out of play. Sam Hilliard. Josh Hader on the mound. Took him deep to tie the game. The Brewers were 93-5 since the beginning of 2018 when Hader was pitching with any lead at any time. And now 93-6. 2-2 pitch. On the infield and caught by the third baseman Ian Happ, cutting in front of Russell.
I'm not sure Russell saw the baseball at the last minute. It seemed like he was battling the sun and the potential collision with his third baseman. He's just happy to come out of that unscathed.
Ricky, it's not only, and good point, I'm not sure he saw that at all. It's not only Joe Maddon, but what will the Cubs look like next year?
Different team.
Russell, Bryant. Those are 2 names that could be on the move that you hear about. You just don't know. But I mean, there's talk of a shakeup with the Chicago Cubs, not only with the manager and his staff, but also the guys in uniform between the white lines.
I think when the manager and the staff get the shakeup, I think the players naturally follow. I mean, you've signaled, I think, that you've got to do something different.
We've had our run.
Yeah.
It's over.
Now how do we build the next one?
The Shadows with a just after 2 o'clock start do become a factor here at Busch Stadium. They're very close to the home plate area. Good luck trying to hit Jack Flaherty anyway. Makes it a little bit tougher.
Players and managers, Dan, all know that they don't, when they give you a locker, it's not yours. You're just occupying it for a bit. Temporary housing.
Three-0 the count. 1 out, runner at first. It's Paul DeYoung. Flaherty squaring to bunt again and looks at a strike. We should mention that the way it works in the division series, even if you have a game 2 starter and you think, well, there's just not enough time to bring him back on normal days rest for game 5, that is not the case. There's a couple of off days mixed in, so Flaherty could give you that 2-game start that you would like to see, maybe games 2 and 5 as he bunts it foul. So keep that in mind. So kind of one of the big misconceptions about that first series.
So there's 2 misconceptions. One is the thought that you only need 3 starters. That's not true. You still need 4 starters in that 5-game series. But you can choose your first or second starter, either one, to pitch in the 5th game if you get there, because of the way the off days roll out. So one would be pitching on 4 days rest, the other on 5. So Flaherty, if everything goes forward as we hope it will, he would be able to pitch game 2 and 5 if necessary.
And he pushed it foul, and he is out. So 2 down, and it brings in Dexter Fowler. Dexter Fowler has walked and scored, and also a 2-run homer to left center back in the 2nd inning. And this was, as a right-handed batter, just his 4th of the 19 that he's hit this year from that side of the plate. And the 0-1 pitch. Nothing in 2.
I have a feeling he's not thinking single here. He'd love to hit one for both sides of the plate against Chicago.
Extra sweet. And the 1-2 pitch. And Fowler lifts a fly ball out to center. Nico Horner under it to make the catch. Big inning for St. Louis. It began with an infield hit off the glove of Ian Happ by Goldschmidt. Ozuna, a single to left to bring him in. A walk to Molina, and Carpenter a big blast.
Joining us, it became official. Joe Maddon will not return as the Cubs skipper in 2020. More on that. We check in with Erica.
Dan, Joe Maddon and Theo Epstein met last night in St. Louis in Theo's hotel room over a bottle of wine, discussing the fact he would not be returning to manage the Cubs in 2020. Maddon met with his team on Friday to let them know he would not be returning. But when Theo and Joe Maddon addressed the media earlier today, it was very cordial between the two of them. But Joe said, the life expectancy with this stuff may be a little bit shorter in Chicago than other cities. He said he's not sure if they'd even won the World Series this year, if things would have changed anything at all. But Theo added that sometimes it's just time, but there will certainly be a bidding war for Joe's services. And Ben Zobrist also met with the media this afternoon. He said it takes a special kind of person to be able to do but no other manager could do in 100 years.
He'll always be the guy that brought them that elusive championship.
Absolutely.
and that will not change. He's also a guy that really rekindled this great rivalry between Chicago and St. Louis as Kemp is the first out here in the fourth. Hired by the Cubs 2014. They got in the playoffs in 15 and 16. They win their first title since 1908. And then the second, in terms of winning percentage, second best winning percentage by a manager, let go today.
This is not a team that's 20 games under 500.
And it's second best in their franchise history.
I mean, it was not a good finish for the Cubs, but I still maintain that the bad finish had as much to do with injuries and the fact that they had a lame duck manager. I just think that's hard for a manager.
You've talked about that a lot.
I just know that feeling, and you're in the clubhouse and the guy's trying to lead you, but you know, honestly, in a month, you're never going to be working for him again. It's just hard. And you either, in my mind, you either extend him or you let him go before the year. I mean, the lame duck status, I think, worked against Chicago big time.
Could wind up in Philly, maybe. He is a Pennsylvania native that grew up listening to Cardinals baseball. There's a ground ball by Zobrist to another mini Zobrist and Tommy Edman. I mean, really, that's what Tommy Edman has turned into for the Cardinals.
With a little more speed.
Both very good baseball players.
But like Zobrist, a guy that could be an everyday player but play different positions.
There's Ian Happ, who struck out back in the first. Flaherty has allowed one hit, a ball that got under the glove of Paul DeJong. That's it.
I said this to you the other day, I think maybe 2 nights ago. If I could have 8 Tommy Edmans on my team, I'll beat you. Now, I'd like to have Jack Flaherty as my pitcher.
I was about to say, if I counter with Jack Flaherty,
no,
I like my chances.
I want Jack pitching, and then I want 8 Tommy Edmans.
I mean, Jack Flaherty right now is the guy in baseball. He is that good, that locked in, and that continues here today, and that is strikeout number 4. Man, does he look good. It's efficient, it's quick, it's nasty, it's game 162, and it's an 8-0 lead. In Cardinals history, and Stan the Man says goodbye, plays his final game with the St. Louis Cardinals back in 1963. The great Stan Musial, and finished his career with a base hit to right. They lined the base paths, both teams, that afternoon. One Pete Rose with a crew cut is on the other side as Stan the Man said goodbye. Here's the 0-1 pitch.
I think we all believe that follow Cardinal baseball, that love Cardinal baseball over decades, that Stan's the greatest. But isn't it fun the way this game continues to provide young, talented players that become great, that you get a chance to enjoy over the years? A young Yadier Molina, and of course Albert Pujols, and Gibson, Brock, and several in the decades before. But you know, who's the next guy? I mean, is it Dylan Carlson?
Found it interesting in talking with John Mozeliak the other day. He said one thing that we do have, and apparently Underwood or somebody not quite right, so they're calling out the medical team of the Chicago Cubs. Nobody throwing in their bullpen. They do have a couple of guys stretching. But John said, and it struck me, he said, you know, when I talk to players across the league, when we maybe sign them or maybe don't, they mention a handful of places where on a Tuesday night in June, it's still fun to play and it's still exciting. And he said you can take the money out of it, no matter what I'm going to pay a guy or the franchise is going to pay a player. They still want to play in front of big crowds. They still want to play in a place that's got excitement and history. And he said, knock on wood, we still have it, and it's still an attraction.
I think we oversimplify it, and when we talk about money in those cases, and you're exactly right, Dan. There's this is the overall experience. Do you enjoy being in the city? Do you enjoy going to the ballpark every day? Do you get energy that keeps you young and excited about playing? And in some ballparks, that's harder. And the grind of the season that we always talk about doesn't feel like as much of a grind when you've got 45,000 people cheering you on every day.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. Goldschmidt has talked about it. Coming from Arizona, he said no disrespect to their fans or that franchise, but you come here, you feel the history, you feel the Red Jackets on opening day and the Hall of Famers, and you feel the crowd.
And no disrespect to the fans that are there in Tampa Bay either, but the ones that aren't there.
Goldschmidt whacks it into left center. Another long one for Goldie. Number 34. 9-0 Cardinals.
Have a day, Paul Goldschmidt. He hammered that ball. What a nice short stroke that was, too. Just back to the ball and the big finish. That's the power of Paul Goldschmidt. He doesn't have to air out a swing to hit big flies. And what a day for him. The RBI total up to 97. And he's also scored 97 runs.
Well, you never know. 3 shy of 100, and we still got a ways to go in this ball game. That was his 17th home run with 2 strikes, and his second on an 0-2 pitch this year. Cannot understate his value defensively and what he's meant to the club and cleaning things up in that regard. But 34 home runs, 97 driven in, you'll take that too. Ozuna with a base hit to right. His second hit.
We have been touting Colton Wong for a Gold Glove all year, but I'm not so sure we shouldn't be on the same level as far as touting Paul Goldschmidt and what he's done. And I love that swing by Ozuna going the other way. A 2-hit game for him. So that's 5 hits from these two in the middle of the Cardinals lineup. Exactly what we were hoping for. But Goldie, what he's done, not just himself, but what he's done for the pitching staff, lowering their ERAs, for the infielders, lowering their errors, I should say. I mean, it's been phenomenal, the job he's done at first base. I say he's our Gold Glover.
Here's Yadier Molina. A couple of walks and a run scored today, and that's hit out of play. So if the Cardinals hold on, they would be in Atlanta on Thursday. A team that last night only had 4 hits. They themselves have had stretches of inconsistent offense as well. A strength of their team the entire year was their bench, and Culberson was hit by a pitch in his face, so he's done for the year with fractures around the nose, and that's a big loss for them.
I've been rooting for Acuna to be a 40-40 guy, but unless he gets 3 stolen bases today, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Got the 40 home runs. That is such a rare feat in baseball.
Slowly hit to third. Ian Happ will make the play. Out number 2. Andy Bollier, Mark Walsh, Ernie Moore, all guys that help us throughout the season with what we do here at the ballpark, behind the scenes with the Cardinals, traveling. And Walshy and Ernie, Andy, thank you for everything you do. You guys are the absolute best. And players do talk about coming to St. Louis and how they're treated. And I know some fans think, well, Dan, is there anything wrong with the Cardinals? Well, yeah, there's some things that are wrong with every franchise. But
right.
These are people that care, that love what they do,
and take care of us, the players, the fans, and take pride in being a part of this organization.
Yeah, the expectation is to treat people professionally and have that returned by the players, and that's the way, that's the expectation here, always has been.
0-2 the count on Carpenter, who popped a 3-run homer back in the third off of Underwood, the first batter that he saw.
And that includes, Dan, and we'll leave people out, so I won't go through the whole list of all the hundreds of employees of the Cardinals, but I mean really from the top down, and just how the whole organization is run, and expectations are to be professional and to be elite as far as the baseball operations is concerned, whether that's ticket sales or the promotions department or whatever it might be.
Hit out of play and bounced in the upper deck and then bounced to a deck lower.
And we say these names as we'll take one more look at Carpenter's home run that came in the third inning, and gotta love that middle in, and he smoked it. Almost 100 miles an hour off the bat of Carpenter. 386. I thought it might have been a little further than that, but he'll take it anyway.
And a swing and a miss and a strikeout.
But you love the professionalism of this Cardinal organization, and it shows up on the field. So if they win, Dan, it's a celebration for more than just the players.
Goldie with number 34.
9-0, the top of the fifth. Humana team prevent defense. Cardinals this season. Mentioned the best fielding percentage in baseball, second most in double plays turned, and Goldschmidt a big part of it.
So the first baseman last year made 20 errors. Goldie's made only 5, but the pitchers also have made significantly fewer errors on throws to first, on pickoff attempts, and he has a lot to do with that. He has been great at digging balls out of the dirt, coming off the bag when necessary, and not kind of allowing an error to happen. He's just been terrific around the bag.
Robel Garcia pinch hitting here for Kyle Schwarber, so his day is through. Went 0 for 1, was struck out looking by Jack Flaherty, the 1-0 pitch. Broke his bat off the end of the bat. Carpenter charging and not in time, so Garcia a base hit. Only the second hit allowed by Flaherty thus far. If things hold, the Cardinals open up Thursday against Atlanta, meeting that the National League wild card, that play-in game, if you will, would be at Washington. Then on Tuesday, that's caught by DeYoung off the bat of Wilson Contreras. The winner of that then would play Thursday at LA. So here, this is how it stacks up. The American League we know is set. The wild card, the Rays at the A's. The winner plays Houston. The American League Division Series then would have the Yankees hosting the Twins starting on Friday. And the Cardinals, as I mentioned, would get the Atlanta Braves if they hold on today, Thursday. And then the winner of Washington and Milwaukee, if that's how it plays out, would then have to start on the road against the Dodgers then on Thursday at Dodger Stadium. You got it all?
I got it.
Okay.
And I think for folks that want to know how maybe some of the pitching matchups might shake out, of course it's a little early, but when you start thinking about if the Cardinals win today, what would an Atlanta Cardinals series look like? Of course, hopefully we'll have reasons to celebrate at the end of this game, but a lot of outs left in it. But if you can get to that point, don't miss the post game, because you're going to want to not only hear about what happened in this game, but also what could happen going forward.
Yeah, Mike Schilt, I'm sure, will address many of those questions. Only 45 pitches so far for Flaherty, with 1 out here in inning number 5.
And that becomes a question.
How long do you go with Jack?
Are you in my head?
I've been thinking that since the Carpenter home run.
Right. So you're in your own head.
Yes, and that's a scary place. I'll just take the words right out of your mouth. Flaherty to second, out there, and it turns into a double play.
Not pretty. He threw a changeup to second.
He'll take it. Don't forget Blues hockey. It all kicks off this week on Fox Sports Midwest, Sunday and Monday night. That means tonight and tomorrow we've got the replays of the Stanley Cup Final. Charlotte, North Carolina loves Mike Schilt. That's where Mike, born and raised, and spent so much of his offseason there.
And learned to love baseball there. Working as a bat boy, basically an errand guy for the managers of the minor league affiliate there. And his mom worked there at the ballpark, and he would you have to show up and get a soda every day for the manager at a certain time, and get the towels and get the baseballs ready. And talk about a guy that's been around baseball literally his whole life. He worked year after year there, and when he talks about that, it doesn't sound like he was really working. He was just enjoying it, just his life.
He loves to talk about the game, loves to be around it. This is the new pitcher, James Norwood, who pitched at St. Louis University. The Billikens. James Norwood, our Chevy Cole to the pen in his 9th appearance. One and two to count on Paul DeJong with Harrison Bader and then Jack Flaherty to follow. 9-0 our score. The finale of the regular season here this afternoon. Avery McLaughlin has been helping us out here in the booth. Doing just a great job on all the stats. Making sure that Rick has all his water and Cokes and food ready. Actually, she's shaking her head at me and saying I'm not doing any of that. But she's happy to be here. I know that. Who wouldn't want to be at the ballpark? 9-0. If you're a Cardinal fan, you're loving this.
And what daughter doesn't shake her head at things that her dad says? That's just the truth. Par for the course, isn't it?
You've been there, done that. You continue to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a walk to DeJong. The Cardinals have received 5 walks in this game, with 4 of those being issued by the starter Holland. You see the shadows affecting the home plate area. Pitcher still in the sun. Short lead at first by Paul DeJong, and a strike to Bader.
The Brewers have started to take many of their regulars out of the game. No Grandal, no Moustakas, who's been hurt a little bit. And I imagine they're doing a little scoreboard watching, and that's why they're doing that. They've also taken their starting pitcher Hauser out early.
Paul Goldschmidt becomes the 10th Cardinal to hit 20 home runs against the National League Central Division, which was formed in 1994. That has happened here today. The Cardinals with 3 homers. Bader a strikeout. Fowler with number 19, Carpenter number 15, and Goldschmidt number 34. It's one thing the Cardinals have done a lot of here down the stretch. A ton of strikeouts in their lineup. Now, you could say that across baseball, but we're around it every day with this particular team.
Yeah, we are, and just 3 today, and look at the results. You got contact, you get base hits, ground balls finding holes. Of course, the big fly, you get plenty of balls hit hard too, but strikeouts, you have no chance.
In the air, out to right, Kemp with the catch in foul territory. Dexter Fowler. Well, if you're wondering about the rotation, or at least some of the names that the Braves have, we haven't seen them in a long time,
right.
But in no particular order. But Dallas Keuchel 8-8, made 19 starts this year. Signed late, but not until after the draft in June. Foltynewicz 8-6. He had injuries in spring training and then went to the minors actually in July. The one that stands out, Soroka, 13-4, right-hander, a rookie. Outstanding year. He's only 22, and then Max Fried or Julio Teheran. So they've got their pitching ready to roll too.
Yeah, Soroka's the best of all of them in my mind, even though he's the youngest of them. Fried's a big winner, but Soroka just has nasty stuff. The ball moves tremendously. He throws hard. And he pitches like he's got a 32-year-old head, not a 22-year-old head.
Pretty darn good. Always interesting if you have a 22-year-old, though, making a start in postseason play.
That's true.
Here's an 0-2 pitch to Fowler. His walk-up music changes just about every time he comes to the plate. So the guys in the scoreboard room, the guys and gals, and I'll tell you what, they're here every day working hard.
They are.
Keep this a fun atmosphere here at the ballpark.
Okay, so if I ground out to the right side of the infield, I want you to play this song. And if I hit a double, it's this song.
Tony Simakaitis has been a longtime Cardinal employee, and Craig Wilson, Jared Hawkup, Matt Shedd, countless others, but great job, guys. Always doing wonderful work here at the ballpark to make the experience of coming here a lot of fun.
Tony has a great crew, and as I think of Tony, you know, I certainly know him as a tremendous employee here with the Cardinals and a wonderful man, but I also see him as the bat boy in the 80s.
And a base hit to left. Well, that's how long he has been affiliated with Cardinals baseball. Fan all his life, but bat boy, clubhouse guy,
yep.
Front office.
It's a pretty good
time that Fowler's been aboard.
Pretty good swing there for Dexter. Just a nice, and that's a not over swinging two-strike approach. Hit the ball the other way, 97. He threw it away. I'll hit it over there. That's how you hit. That's terrific. Terrific at bat.
Here's Tommy Edman, who has walked and scored, fly to right, and also grounded out. He had 2 hits again last night, so 7 multi-hit games in a row. Longest streak by Cardinals since Keith Hernandez had 8 straight multi-hit games in 1979, and that year he was the co-MVP. The franchise record is Rogers Hornsby, 13 back in 1923. But it's what have you done for me lately, and you know, a walk and a run scored and a great catch in shallow right by Tommy Edman just isn't enough. I'm tough. Come on, let's go. High fly ball into right, sending Kemp back, and on the edge of the track he makes the catch. The magic number sits at 1 with Flaherty going. And a 9-run lead feels pretty good. Sit back and enjoy it. It's baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. Jack Flaherty with the 5 innings pitched. And 2 hits. That has been it. A ball that got under the glove of Paul DeYoung for a base hit and an infield hit. That is all.
Pretty good when you're working in the 6th inning of a game and you've thrown 12 pitches out of the strike zone. That's it.
I'd say he was ready to go. Off the end of the bat, shallow center, Bader coming on and makes the catch. Quick word from St. Louis Children's Hospital.
Keeping kids in the game for 140 years. St. Louis Children's Hospital, guardians of childhood.
Thank you, Joe. Nice of you to be tuned into every game and doing that from your living room. Really nice of them.
Talk about commitment.
Oh, man. We're seeing Joe on the postseason coming up. Here's Addison Russell, hit a soft liner to short, and he's 0 for 1.
Jack Flaherty is becoming easy to take for granted because he's been so good for so long. I think we've gotten to the point where we just expect it. We expect the slider to be sharp, the fastball to be well placed with movement, the curveball to be good. I mean, you just expect it. His routine is so good, Dan, and so organized, thought through. His preparation, very methodical.
There's a strikeout as Russell lost the bat, and that's number 5 today.
At number 230 of the season for Jack Flaherty. I'm sure you've done it. I've done it several times. You watch Jack when he warms up before a start. He does the same thing every time. Yeah. His dynamic stretching, what he does with his arm, what he kind of has a way of loosening his shoulder that he just does every single time, and that's all part of the process.
On a hop to Tommy Edman. And Jack Flaherty is through 6. It's 9-0 here in game 162. The Budweiser What's on Tap, and for us on Fox Midwest it'll be spring training 2020. God willing, we'll all be there.
I already have plans. You and I.
See you at the Square Grouper.
See you at the Square Grouper, and I'll also, Dan, the next day, see you on the backfields.
Well, as you know, and Bill Cochran, our producer, you two have tried to find me many times throughout spring training. Hey, where's Dan? We need to go grab a bite to eat, or we need to talk about what's going on with our broadcast tomorrow. And you both look at each other and just say, backfields. There he is.
I think you should open a restaurant in Jupiter.
Backfields.
And call it Backfields.
I'm in. And you can fund it.
Wait a minute. I withdraw my idea.
Yeah, I thought you might.
I like the name, though.
I do like the name.
Yeah.
I'm coming up with a hat or a shirt for you.
Okay.
During spring training. Okay. Backfields. Actually, you can find me on the back 9 many times. We go to the ballpark early.
We do a little bit of both.
Yeah, we go to the ballpark early. It's, very tough job that we have to go down to spring training when it's 10 degrees here.
And watch baseball. And
yeah, I mean, that's what we do, Rick. Somebody's got to do it, so I guess it's us.
It's the big leagues.
It's the big leagues, man. Tim will be there. He'll pop in. Hey, where have you been? Tim, where I've been all year in my home in St. Louis. Well, I thought it might be the backfields. Even Tim knows I'm on the backfield.
Of course.
I like to see the minor leaguers back there.
I tell everybody, as you start your spring training plans, it's not too early. Start thinking about making a trip there. Everybody loves it. And please do go to the backfields where you can see 4 games at one time. Future Cardinal stars.
Tommy Edman was there. We watched him. I remember a couple years ago we were back there watching him.
Yep.
So 1 ball and 2 strikes here on Goldschmidt. Ozuna to follow, and then Molina. Something, and again, you never like to get in a superstitious sport too far ahead.
Of course.
It's a 9-0 lead.
here in the 6th inning. I always think about the final day of the season as Goldschmidt strikes out, where sometimes it's not the easiest game to manage in terms of making sure that your veterans or those that may not be going on with you get the proper respect of the fan base here at home. And these fans are smart. They know what's going on. For instance, you know, Matt Holliday a few years ago, what was the best way to get him into a game when the Cardinals were still mathematically alive? So my point is, if the team wins today, do you want Yachty out there to celebrate behind the plate? Do you want Goldie at first base? Do you want Marcel in left field?
It's a good question.
Just something to think about. And don't think for a second Ollie Marmol and Mike Schilt haven't talked about it.
Well, they're also thinking about, and Ollie's probably all over this, and it's not, you know, it's not all about your own individual stats, but those guys know that those matter to players. So, guy has an ERA of 2.99. Do you use him today? Or it's 3.1. Do you pitch him? I mean, there are things, and Tony La Russa was great at that. He would always understand that there are milestones. If guys want to hit 300, Goldie wants to drive in 100. So you're conscious of the individual who's playing a team sport, what those goals might mean to them personally, and one of the other factors that you have to deal with. And then after the game, Dan, the line that I must have heard it 100 times, and it's not going to hopefully be, well, it won't be said by the Cardinals because this is not their last game no matter what happens here. But for the Cubs, the line that you always hear is,
wait till next year.
Well, you hear that over there for sure. That wasn't the one I was thinking of. It's now we get to pick our own friends. Think about that. I mean, you really.
I like my line.
I like yours too, but the reality is you're thrown together for 6 months, and sometimes it's just good to get away and do your own thing.
Sure. Third strikeout for Norwood.
Your friends are picked for you in a way in this game, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I think it makes for a great social experience to have guys that from other countries, different ages, different backgrounds.
Outside to Yadier Molina. In 2015, that first year under Joe Madden, that second half of the season, it really was a changing of the guard in the Central Division, and you could see it coming. You could definitely see it coming. I mean, the Cubs were starting to get a rhythm and building, and their young players coming of age, and they dominated the Cardinals in that postseason.
I mean, Kyle Schwarber hit a ball that landed on top of the scoreboard, for goodness sakes.
Off of Kevin Sechrist.
Yes. And now here we are in 2019. Madden on the way out. Cardinals on their way to a division championship.
Some attendance numbers, Dan, we just received. Today's attendance, 47,212. And the total attendance at Busch Stadium for 2019, 3.4 million, but more than that, 3,480,393, an average of nearly 43,000 per game.
Wow.
And over 3 million for the 16th consecutive year. And the 5th highest attendance this year in franchise history. So
amazing.
Congratulations to the fans. Again, it's Fan Appreciation Day. We understand how important the fans are to this franchise, to this game, and keeping this game moving forward. And we thank all 3.48 million of you.
I say it all the time. Players come and go, managers come and go, broadcasters come and go. This game is about you, the fan. And without the fan, there is no game. Period. End of story. And that's a fact. Up and into Yachty. Six walks the Cardinals have picked up today. 3 of those by Molina. think about where the Cardinals are in attendance. It's St. Louis compared to L.A. Both the Dodgers and Angels in the top 5. Then you have the New York market of the Yankees. Then the Cubs, 4th. Carpenter down the right field line, and it is foul. Carpenter looking back as if to say, make sure you take a look at that. That looked pretty good.
Well, the swing looked pretty good, whether it's a home run or not. I know what he wants it to be.
This is hard to tell.
I think it's foul. Not by much.
So just to finish the thought, but second in Major League Baseball attendance, and the other markets you're talking about, L.A., New York, Chicago, and the Cardinals are number 2.
I think that says a lot. And we understand that it's not even just the St. Louis market here. So many fans coming in from out of town, other states. Very broad regional reach for the Cardinals fan base. And thanks for making the trip.
You got it. And Carpenter lifts it in the air out to left, and that's Garcia under it to make the catch. Friends don't let friends be Cub fans. Cardinals vacations, 800-892-7687, cardinals.com/vacations. Our game summary, 9-0 Cardinals here in the finale of this regular season, and Jack Flaherty has been terrific again here today with just 2 hits allowed.
And a low pitch count, 53 pitches through 6 innings. Are you kidding me? Just throwing strike after strike. Now, I think the Cubs are doing a lot of first ball hitting here just to kind of move things along, which often happens the last game of the year. We see that in spring training on the last game of the year, and I think the score dictating that a bit. But that does not diminish what we've seen from Jack Flaherty. Strike, strike, strike.
Here's a 1-0 pitch, and it's now 1-1 on Tony Kemp. He was picked up by the Cubs from the Houston Astros.
You know, I do wonder, Dan, about the emotions of Joe Maddon right now. I mean, you're really winding down now. He's been through probably a lot of this over the last month, recognizing where things were headed. But it's one thing for it to be headed there, but in 3 innings, he's going to get there to the end of the line as the Chicago Cubs manager, the World Series manager, and got to be gut-wrenching for him in some ways, in a lot of ways.
Do you remember, this may be a tough question to answer because you probably at the time were thinking, well, I might get picked up by somebody else, or I'm going to continue to try to be picked up by somebody else, but the final time you took off that jersey?
I know, I totally know it. I was in the minor leagues, and I know the pitch. I know what happened. I know the last pitch I threw. I can feel it like it was yesterday. I got Kenny Lofton to pop up with the bases loaded in a playoff game in AAA, and Doug Jones came in and pitched to their first baseman, whose last name is Anthony, and he hit a ball 9 miles, and we lost on the next pitch. And so I went from 1 pitch, throwing my last pitch as a professional, and then after he hit that, I thought, you know what, that's the last ball I'm ever going to see.
How'd you know, though?
Because I was in AAA. I knew it was my last hurrah. I knew it was, and I knew I was not going to get a job again. I was done. So there was no question in my mind that was it. And I was 32.
Yeah. And I, kind of think that way with Joe Maddon. What's it going to be like when he goes in that manager's
office and talks with the media, and you know he'll be glib and funny, probably emotional. There's Edman, 2 away, and then the finality hits of no more competition until spring, and I'm going to take this Cubs jersey off for the final time, and this hat. It's over.
And the finality of the man that just grounded out the second base may be even more final, because Joe Madden may have another job. Well, he will have another job if he wants one.
But Ben Zobrist, we talked about it earlier, could be his final game. Here is Ian Happ with 2 outs. There's been a lot of talk of David Ross, the former Cub catcher, part of their championship club, now working as a broadcaster, potentially going in that seat. Highly respected throughout the game. I wonder if more teams look at Brian Snitker, look at what the Cardinals have done, and with the landscape of the business side changing here shortly, you would think.
Organizational guys.
And young players being pushed now more than ever. So meaning that we have great talented young athletes that are playing the game, but do they know how to play the game? Get guys that have been around for a long time that know how to manage young players.
And by long times, I think being around the minor leagues for a long time.
And that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where when I say organizational guy, Snitker was that long time minor league manager with Atlanta. So he had all the guys that end up being in the big leagues, and Mike Schilt can say the same thing.
Pitch count only at 65 with this delivery, and it is the first walk handed out by Flaherty this afternoon to go along with 2 hits. If I had a vote by virtue of a win today, Mike Schilt would be my manager of the year of the National League.
Agreed.
If they didn't win today and they didn't win the division, I'd have to go with Greg Counsell.
With a strong finish without Yelich.
Yeah, they could have folded up shop and said, well, just not our year. So 2 outs, no balls, 1 strike on Garcia. Pinch hit back in the 5th and singled. Milwaukee leading their ball game 3-1 over Colorado in the bottom of the 7th. It's also a time to say goodbye to great broadcasters. Tom Brenneman will take over for his father, Marty Brenneman, with some of the radio games potentially next year. And one of my favorites, Steve Blass,
right,
this weekend calling it quits with the Pirates after 60 years of baseball as a player or as a broadcaster.
Steve's such a gentleman. He promised me, I had talked to him out there in Pittsburgh, and he said, I'm going to be at the ballpark. I'll be around. You'll see me, and I'm glad for that.
Strikeout for Flaherty, and let's stretch for the final time in this regular season. Kids 13 and under can sign up now to become a member of the 2020 Kids Club presented by Rawlings. Membership will include 2 tickets to a Cardinals game, club items, and an invitation to the Kids Club party. Visit cardinals.com/kids to register. Congratulations to the Cardinals for hitting 26 home runs in the 7th inning of our Gateway Honda Dealers home run inning. The Gateway Honda dealers have donated more than $225,000 on 7th inning home runs, 26 grand to the Make-A-Wish Foundation this year. New pitcher is Dylan Maples. And DeYoung hits it out of play. Ricky, you'll continue your work on the radio side with Mike Shannon and John Rooney and Mike Claiborne. And as always, it has been a great pleasure to work with one of my best friends in the world, Rick Horton. Our thanks to Tim McCarver and Jim Edmonds. Brad Thompson, but I'm looking forward to your calls coming up in the postseason.
And hopefully it'll go on for a long time, Dan.
I hope so, too.
That's the plan.
If not, it's your fault. Remember, it's always a broadcaster's fault.
I do know that.
And don't jinx anybody.
So don't say he's got a no-hitter going. And,
right. Can't do that.
And he hasn't struck out in a week and all those things.
Right now, Tim McCarver is nodding in approval over some of what you're saying.
I know. Well, you know, my favorite thing to say about that is if I could control things down on the field, I would use that power for more important things.
Darn right. Strikeout of DeYoung. Giovanni Gallegos throwing in the Cardinal bullpen. Jack Flaherty at 69 pitches. And his spot due up third. +23 years I've been spending my summers with one Tom Mee, our director, back with us again here in 2019. Thanks, Tom, for all the fun and the incredible job that you do. The best director in sports.
He's outstanding. And one day, I know you've been with him a long time, but one day you ought to ask him to tell you some of the jokes that he has. He is really a funny dude.
No kidding.
He's got some jokes, and I'm sure you've not heard them.
In the last day.
And we're hearing them now in our ear.
Yeah, we are. For the 1 millionth time this summer.
Oh, we love you, Tom.
Brian Shapiro is our producer. Did a great job this summer putting up with us. Brian McCann and Keith O'Brien with us day in and day out. Home and road. And their top assistant, Keith Oberman. And that's going to be it for Jack Flaherty. His day is through.
How about a curtain call for Jack? How about it? How about it?
Young man, you might be the reason why the Cardinals are going to postseason play. An 0.91 second half ERA for Jack Flaherty. And it's not only one of the great second halves in Cardinals history, but it's in baseball history.
And we are all hoping that number 22 will make more history before 2019 is over.
Here's Randy Arozarena, the pinch hitter. Congratulations again, the Cardinals, 26 home runs, and our thanks to the Gateway Honda dealers, the 26 home runs in the 7th inning, and their donation to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Arozarena with a fly ball that'll carry to Tony Kemp in right, and the catch made. A curtain call for Jack Flaherty, and why not? Cardinals getting set to celebrate. It's a 9-0 lead here in game 162. Giovanni Gallegos, our Chevy call to the pen, and what a year it's been for Giovanni.
One of the top rookie pitchers in the National League. He's going to get some recognition for that, I'm sure, when it's all said and done. But the strikeout ratio, so good for Giovanni. Came out of nowhere. Really a guy that we thought was the kind of the other guy in the trade for Luke Voit. But he has become more than that. Two-pitch pitcher, really, the slider and the fastball. And if you can get Gallegos, Gant, Brebbia, Miller, Wright, along with Carlos Martinez, I think that's task number one here over the next week and beyond.
I would say number one on that list, at least for me, Miller. Especially with guys like Freddie Freeman to think about with the Atlanta Braves. Here's the 0-1 pitch. You know, I was thinking about this as well. Giovanni Gallegos. Why has it worked here in St. Louis. And not to say that it did not work in New York. He had parts of 7 minor league seasons. He averaged 10 strikeouts and under 2 walks per 9, and that was 393 minor league innings.
So why not get a chance?
He was up and down 16 times in a 14-month period. So I went back and looked at it, and you think about going up and down like that, Ricky, it's tough to get any kind of flow.
Yeah, well, I would agree 100%. We've had Cardinal pitchers have to do that. Brebbia had to do it. Myers had to do it a couple years ago, and hard to get settled with all of your mechanics, etc. Where you live.
Yeah.
How to get to the ballpark.
On the ground is short. 1 away.
But he is a key player. There's no question about it, because the 7th and the 8th innings, you think about the way you manage games in the postseason. You better have some lights out guys in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning before you get to your closer.
Is Victor Caratini, and a base hit into center. Just the 3rd Cubs hit. Our Budweiser player of the game, no surprise, the right-hander Jack Flaherty. 7 innings, couple of hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Look at the bottom of the graphic, folks.
Epic.
A .91 ERA in the second half, with a total of 10 earned runs in 99 1/3. Incredible.
An opponent's batting average of just 142. He's going to lead the National League in opponent's batting average, the lowest among all starters in the league. You've got to think some Cy Young votes for Flaherty.
I think I would go DeGrom.
Oh, yeah. I'm not
Ryu.
saying
Oh, I know what you're
right.
saying, but he'll be in the top 3,
yeah,
4.
Right.
Ryu would be in that as well.
Strasburg, Scherzer, still both having good years, and they're going to make the Nationals dangerous in the playoffs.
The Cardinals or Cubs have been in the postseason in all but 1 year since 2000. That was in 2010. And the Cardinals, if they wrap up this win, will have the season series for the 2nd consecutive year. Horner hits it out of play.
And there's something about a division title that's different than a wild card berth to be in the playoffs. Not that it's not in the playoffs, that it doesn't count, but when you play all year and you're the best in your division, that's a big deal. And it will be celebrated that way if the Cardinals can get just a few more outs.
And the 1-2 pitch. Late with that swing, Tardy. Nico Horner was robbed by Tommy Edman with an over-the-shoulder catch back in the 3rd, and also flied out to center. Flaherty, 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. 69 pitches to get through 7 innings. So clearly could have gone the distance here today.
Barely worked up a sweat.
And the 1-2 pitch to Nico Horner, as Goldschmidt is playing behind the runner, Victor Caratini. And should mention, if you're wondering, Jim Hayes and Erica Weston will be in the Cardinal clubhouse if they celebrate, and with a 9-run lead, you'd like to think that that'll be the case, and you'll have the entire post-game celebration, all the sights, the sounds, the champagne, the celebration. It'll be a celebration, believe me.
And we're just talking about what's going to go on in the booth.
Isn't that the truth? 6-4-3 with a double play. The BJC Healthcare difference maker, and it's the home runs hit by the Cardinals today. Fowler number 19, Carpenter number 15, and Goldschmidt number 34. Well, this is interesting here. Ben Zobrist in what could be his final major league game will be the pitcher. First career pitching appearance in our Chevy call to the Ben for Ben Zobrist.
Maybe you let him pitch to a batter, then take him out.
That's a good point. Descalso takes over at second, and it's his former teammate who he gets to face here in Dexter Fowler.
Oh, this is when you remember it's kids playing the game, right?
Yep. So he's never done this, and he wanted to do it. And the 1-1 pitch. Now, if you're Fowler, you want to take him deep.
He's looking over at the Cubs bench. I think he's enjoying this, and you should enjoy it. Throwing 78, there's nothing wrong with that.
Fantasy camp right around the corner.
That's right.
And a walk to Dexter Fowler to start the inning off. Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. St. Louis Children's Hospital and Washington University Physicians, Guardians of Childhood, and by Ford, the official car and truck of the Cardinals.
You thinking base hit Edman, 3-run home run, and 100 RBIs for Goldschmidt?
Now I am. Good point.
So you mean I thought of something that wasn't in your head already?
No, sir. There's always time for a first in game number 162.
That's right.
Out to center, and the catch is made. Don't forget about the Cardinals yearbook. Still get it right now. With Yadi on the cover, great in-depth feature on Yadier Molina, 345-9000, cardinals.com/yearbook.
You know, there is one thank you forgot, but it would be very difficult for you to do it because on behalf of all Cardinal fans everywhere, you need to be thanked.
I appreciate
for
that.
Being the best at what you do in our business. 2 decades of the energy you bring every day, Dan, and on behalf of the players, the coaches, Cardinal fans, again, everywhere that just get excited when you have a home run call or give your insights into a particular game or even feel the down times when things aren't going well and convey that to the fan base. Terrific job again, Danny Mack, and working with the various personalities that you have to work with, including yours truly. Not sure how you do that.
It's been fun, and it's been the best of times. It's a dream come true to do this job, and thank you very much. Here's Marcell Ozuna. And before you know it, I'll be calling you saying, what are they doing? Go get this guy. What?
Well, you know, we get communications all the time from a lot of people about what's going on. I'm just going to add you to my list.
Oh, yeah.
I expect it.
Well, we know exactly what needs to happen, so we're always right. And that's why, I call you and I say, Ricky, why don't they go out and get this guy?
So don't we all feel, don't you think all fans think that?
Yes. Popped up and going out to make the catch, our buddy Daniel Descalso.
So here's the finish on this pitch from Zobrist. Good little sinking action. 76 still plays.
Got to locate, right?
Right.
Little sink, little cut. Here's Yadier Molina.
This is meant to be a tribute. We need to take it for what it is. It's a tribute to Ben Zobrist.
Absolutely.
And should be felt that way. This is not Joe Madden doing something goofy here. This is him doing something sincere. and meaningful to his World Series MVP.
Had him in Tampa Bay, wanted him in Chicago, and the 0-2 pitch.
Just a bit low. He overcooked that, whatever it was. Or maybe he undercooked it.
I'm going to go with the latter.
Yeah, I think it needs to simmer a little longer.
Yeah. Here's a 1-2. I think Contreras on the previous pitch caught it with his bare hand, and I'm not kidding.
I'm going to guess it was a changeup with a little too much changing up.
And Yadi yanks it foul.
I think I saw a little Luis Tiant in that, or little Johnny Cueto in that.
Hey, why not?
In that move. Hey, enjoy it. Good for you.
Absolutely. And he strikes out Yadier Molina and what could be his final moment in the major leagues. A crowd today of 47,212. 22 sellouts. The average attendance 42,968. Over 3.4 million fans have come through the turnstiles, second best in Major League Baseball, and they've been treated to a good one here in game number 162. The Cardinals are 3 outs away from becoming the champions of the National League Central Division.
What a job by Mike Shildt all season long, keeping his team thinking forward. And after a couple losses, they came to play today. Carlos Martinez, our Chevy, called to the bullpen. But you think about what the key to the game was. Hit, hit, hit. And that's exactly what they've done today. It's been fun to watch.
Daniel Descalso. And the first pitch hit out of play.
Fans remember Daniel Descalso's contribution to Cardinal baseball.
You bet. And Descalso lifts a fly ball into left center. Going back, it is Bader, and makes the catch, crashing up against the wall for the first out. He came in and then had to go out, and the Cardinals are 2 outs away.
Well, I think that ball carried more than Harrison thought it would, and by the time he got back to the track, I'm just thankful he didn't get hurt. He kind of stumbled a little bit after catching the ball and then looking for that wall. Such a good outfielder, though. And the excitement is just going to get ramped up more and more as Carlos throws pitch after pitch here in the 9th inning.
7 innings, 2 hits, no runs by Flaherty, a scoreless 8th by Giovanni Gallegos. Many of the Cardinals near the top step of the dugout. The 2-0 pitch by Martinez is a strike, and it's 2-1.
Some fans on their feet already, and they're going to have some friends joining them here shortly.
The 2-1. 2-2. David Bodie at the plate. 9-0 our score, with 1 out and nobody on. Do not overlook the contribution of one Carlos Martinez here in the second half. Minus Jordan Hicks, Martinez came in and didn't miss a beat, especially in the second half.
24 saves, and the contribution of Jordan Hicks himself in the first half. You know, those wins and those saves mattered also, but Carlos has been very, very good.
Struck him out. Struck him out. And they're 1 out away from a division title.
And now everybody standing.
A season that began with a game-saving catch from Lorenzo Cain the opening day. Now in game number 162 can end with Carlos Martinez on the mound. 2 outs, Tony Kemp, and to the backstop. It all began, remember, in late March regular season play through Mexico and stops in between.
Winning streaks, losing streaks, great finishes, rough finishes. But Mike Shilt's team staying the course.
The 1-0 pulled foul, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Martinez pitched last night in game 2, trying to finish off game 3 and finish off a regular season. The 1-1 pitch. Popped up left side. Calling for it. DeYoung. He's got it. It took all 162 games, and now we can finally say it. The St. Louis Cardinals, champions in 2019 National League Central Division. Finally.
And with this team, Dan, I think it's fitting that it happened on game 162. 1 all-star on this team. 1 first full season manager. And division champions all.
The Cubs a few years ago wrapped up a division title by taking a pitcher on the mound at Busch Stadium. Turnabout is fair play.
We've seen that pitcher taken in the clubhouse, but I love seeing it on the mound in front of 47,000 plus who have had a terrific afternoon of baseball.
We will be taking you inside the Cardinals clubhouse momentarily as the Cardinals will pop champagne and celebrate. It's been a while since we've seen number 4 do that. Let's go to postseason play. What do you say? The Cardinals are the 2019 Central Division champions of the National League. We're going to have a heck of a celebration. Don't go anywhere. We'll take you inside the Cardinals clubhouse. Should be a lot of fun. Stay with us on Fox Sports Midwest.
And this big crowd on their feet, 47,000 plus. And the 1-1 pitch. Swinging a pop-up. There it is. It goes into shallow left. Out goes the shortstop, makes the catch. Cardinals are Central Division champions. They win 9-0 when they celebrate onto the field. They are mobbing each other out there just between the mound and second base. And here come the bullpenners. 47,000 are enjoying this action.
Nobody has more heart than this group. Nobody we're going to play has worked harder, is more prepared, has more heart, has more cojones. Not a one person, not a one team. But we do have 3 more left. When we pop champagne after the division series, when we pop champagne after the championship series, and when we pop champagne at the World Series.
Exactly. This is what everyone dreams of. This is where you want to be. You want to have a chance to win the World Series. And we got our chance. We just, need to take advantage of it.
Well, we had good players. It's easy to have faith in your team when you have good players. We were underperforming in the first half. I think everybody knew that. Woo, my head's cold right now. I love that. And that's why I kept saying that, just be patient. It's going to come because we have good players. And good players eventually end up playing good most of the time. This is a complete group. We've had years where we were close, but we were missing something. This year we've got all the pieces. We just got to go out and perform.
I mean, this is amazing. It don't matter what team we face out there. I think the matter is we did it, and all the doubt on the season, all the stuff, what the people talking, whatever they didn't believe in us.
I want to see your eyes here.
We're here, and I said it from the first day. I said it for the spring training. We're good, and we got a great group of guys, and we're going to do it. We're here, and we're going to make more to come.
What does the Bench Mafia do for this ball club?
They bring the energy. They're watching the game. They're contributing, talking to the pitcher, things like that. Just trying to give us some energy, and so we can go out there and have fun and kind of break the tension up.
This season, when things weren't going that well, even keel, even when things were going better, I didn't see people going crazy and everything. What is it about the way this team handles things?
We knew we were a second half team. We knew last year we won the best team in the NL in the second half. Coming in this year, we knew we had our workout cut out for us. We stuck together. We didn't panic. We knew we had a good foundation, and we just kept building off of it.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, I heard this is fun, but this is the most fun I've ever had in my life. So couldn't have done it with a better group, man. I mean, it's been a ride, but it feels like day one. So the journey's about to begin, baby. Let's do it. I mean, resiliency, man. It's just such a powerful group. Everybody here plays with their heart, and that kind of opens everything up for us. So had some ups and downs, but at the end of the day, what matters is after 162. So look where we are, man. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's amazing. All I wanted to do when I got sent down was just come back and just help contribute. So I just hope I did that as best I could. I'm just going to continue to do the same exact thing, man. Just take it pitch by pitch. This is an unbelievable ride, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it with these guys.
No doubt. I mean, this is a resilient group, a tough group, a close group, a group who's pulling for each other, a group who's got a ton of players that can play the game, and a staff who supports us. So it's a special group, and we're just getting started. Not one time. Even during our toughest stretch in May when we weren't playing like we knew we were capable of, not one time did we lose sight of our goal, and that was to win this division and get a chance to try and win a World Series. And here we are today, and we got that opportunity.
We need a little help, these last couple games, and but we were able to hold on, and we knew if we could play well today and get the win, it was ours, and just happy to do it. Exactly. This is what everyone dreams of. This is where you want to be. You want to have a chance to win the World Series, and we got our chance, and we just,
need to take advantage of it. Incredible. We've leaned on him. We've jumped on his back, his shoulders, his arm. It was huge for us.
I mean, this is amazing. It don't matter what team we face out there. I think the matter is we did it, and all the doubt on the season, all the stuff, what the people talking, whatever they didn't believe in us.
I want to see your eyes here.
We're here, and I said it from the first day. I said it from the spring training. We're good, and we got a great group of guys, and we're gonna do it. We're here, and we're gonna make more to come. It's never a doubt. It was never a doubt. This is a great group of guys. We're family here, and we stood together from till the end. And this is the end. It's actually the beginning of a lot of things.
Yeah, we've had our ups and downs. A lot of people counted us out early, but we believed in ourselves from the beginning, and it's been awesome. These guys, we got a good group of guys, and we really mesh.
You guys have plugged in some pieces too that have been huge, like Tommy Edman. Where would you be without him?
Yeah. I mean, guys have stepped up. We saw him in spring training. We knew he could hit. We knew he could play D. He plays all over the place, and he's a great tool to have.
From a personal standpoint, a bounce back year for you, where you kind of showed, I'm still Dex, and I can make things happen. I mean, do you take anything from that?
Yeah, confidence goes a long way. These guys believed in me, and that's all you ask for. You take that, and you never want to disappoint when somebody believes in you. So,
how about Jack Flaherty?
He's been unbelievable for us. I mean, the guys come in, and he's been our bulldog, and a lot of guys have stepped up, but he stepped up the most, I think, and I'm super happy for him.
Thanks, Dex.
Thank you.
How proud are you of this ball club?
So proud. I mean, we got the heart. I say this line with the hockey team, with the blue team. We got the heart. We worked so hard, and since spring training, and we the division champions. So we're happy.
Does this guy get enough credit? Because Hicks goes down with an injury. He steps in and is one of the top guys in terms of saves in all of baseball since then.
This guy is unbelievable. He got no afraid to pitch, and I want it any day. And right now he's been proving that.
The way this team bounces back, not only from a start where they were playing around 500, but then we saw late in games, even when they were behind, they would find a way to come back. Where does that come from?
You know what? I mean, I don't know. We just keep playing the game. We play hard. We play the baseball game. I mean, obviously, we got the talent, and we prove it. We prove it. We're the division champion.
I'm going to tempt fate. You don't like to talk about yourself, but you're not getting older. You're getting better. Do you feel? I mean, do you feel like you're just scratching the surface now where you are, because you've had a long season and you're playing some of your best baseball?
I'm 37. I feel like 27. So I'm happy for that. I feel young. This is never get old. I'm happy to be in the position. Right now, this is the first step. I'm concentrating the World Series, try to win it. I'm happy right now.
I mean, they really did. And, we had some streaks there where we struggled, but we always came back. And when we had to win, we won. And, 91 wins, pretty strong in this division that we're in. So, really excited.
Yeah, I mean, you go 3 years, and it's time. You feel like, you miss that. You miss days like this, and fan base was a little antsy, and these guys delivered. I mean, the resiliency and the heart, and it took 162, but they got there.
Well, baseball is a fickle game, right? I mean, there's streaks and peaks and valleys, but I knew we were good enough to be here. That was the key thing. So if we played up to our expectations, I felt like we would be here.
They got a tremendous rotation.
Jack Flaherty.
He swings and goes down on strikes.
Dakota Hudson, the guy with electric stuff.
Swing and a miss.
Wainwright's going to give you everything.
3 stellar starters.
Last year, the Cardinals almost snuck into the playoffs.
It's put up or shut up for St. Louis.
It's an important year, I think, for the organization to make some noise.
Fellas, we got a big trade. Paul Goldschmidt, the 6-time All-Star first baseman, heads to St. Louis.
Paul Goldschmidt is what this organization needed.
They think they're set for a prime year.
2 outs, top of the ninth, and a 1-run game.
The home run would cut it. He launched it.
This thing is crushed. Get up, baby. Get up.
At the wall, caught. It's caught. And that's how opening day comes to a close.
Maybe it is a harbinger of things to come.
this game is history.
The Brewers win 3 out of 4 from the Cardinals.
There's something missing right now, and I just don't know what it is.
The offense has just not been there.
Goldschmidt and Matt Carpenter, these guys have to get going.
It's been a disappointing first half, with the exception of their bullpen.
He got him.
That's the Carlos Martinez that you want to see.
Their former ace starter, now reliever.
His nickname is Tsunami. That's kind of what it feels like in the 9th inning when he pitches.
In terms of who wins the division, that's wide open.
I don't think anybody is running away from that division.
Somebody needs to step up.
Goldschmidt with a drive, and let's go home. It's over.
Hashtag Goldschmidt happens.
When you're as hot as he is,
It's a gunner.
that's the difference.
He needed that, and so did the Cardinals.
That offense is getting going.
Big fly, Matt Carpenter.
Dexter Fowler's gotten hot. Marcell Ozuna is getting hot all of a sudden.
This should do it. 6 in a row.
Just when you count them out, there they are on top of the division.
The Cardinals don't get in this position without Jack Flaherty.
Jack Flaherty has become an ace.
Boy, is he sharp.
Got it. Outstanding work.
They're hitting their stride at the perfect time.
The Cardinals, they come back again.
The emotion in that Cardinal dugout right now, sensational.
This will do it. They'll walk them off for the second consecutive game.
You leave spring training with a goal to get to the postseason. You can see the finish line.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
It's the only thing you're thinking about. Give us a chance to play in the postseason.
It's a Redbird winner! 9th inning magic again!
A 4-game sweep.
A Wrigley Field massacre. It took all 162 games, and now we can finally say it. The St. Louis Cardinals, champions in 2019.